So you're going to present this. There's your face. When you're done, just press this X button.
Okay.
And remember,
now, is it live right now?
Yep.
And so we're recording right now. And now how do I switch on this?
On this, and then also when you switch on this, you have to go to on this because they're two separate. This is projecting to this, but this is on the video.
All right.
And it'll, when you press this X button, it'll open up a separate tab automatically, and it'll start downloading to your computer. So don't do anything until I come back.
Just hit this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then don't do anything until I come back.
And this to advance it.
Yep.
And then this.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're good?
Yep.
Okay. Can you see if anybody else wants to come in before I start going bananas?
We're getting started and then we're
And then there were 5. All right, lock it.
Are we gonna get out?
Fuck it. All right. So before I even start, who was at the stats? Wow, good turnout. Did you see how Alan ripped into everybody, including myself? Oh my God, love that guy. That was interesting. Oh, thanks.
How bad were the numbers?
I mean, how bad were the numbers? Obviously, I'm not privy to the specifics, but mine weren't great. I mean, I had talked to him just because I was pissed off. I didn't really know that it kind of spiraled throughout Coral Springs, Fort Lauderdale, and Aventura, as he kind of explained, because he wasn't that thrilled with any of the offices in general. Alan's not a guy that minces words. So, he really.
But when he said that, I mean, I was thinking that there's got to be another reason for that. It's not that we're not working hard, and maybe there's another factor to that,
I think that, I mean,
Seasonality?
no, I don't think so. I don't think so.
What do you say?
You have to go to hear it. No. Basically, he was explaining that there was the year-over-year numbers for the office productivity was down big time across all 3 offices that he is an equity partner in.
For November, December, and January.
Yeah. So, I mean, I had explained to him just through personal conversations that, the first 6 months of 2019 for me was rock solid. And then I kind of kicked back a little bit because I wanted to see my team kind of push, and they didn't really push like I wanted them to. And so I had a kind of a heart to heart with my team, and I told them, look, I'm trying to take a step back, but I'm not going to now. Now I'm going to enter back in as basically a full on agent, just like the rest of you guys. If I have to act as an agent and own the team, fine. But before, I was kind of the mindset that I'm going to own the team and gradually remove myself from producing on a hour by hour basis, and hopefully the team will come in and pick up that slack. But that's not what happened. And I think that he just, in his mind, saw, having nothing to do with me, but just saw that was kind of what was going on with all the offices, where there were good quarters, and then everybody decided to coast. And I don't think that he liked that. I didn't know that it was pervasive everywhere. I just looking at it, from my own team and my production. But obviously, from the conversation that he was screaming about yesterday, he wasn't thrilled about any of it. And even when after the stats class, I spoke to John Dietz outside in the parking lot, and he was not happy. He was just, he kind of blames himself, which he always does, but it is what it is. And he was actually apologizing to me, saying, I'm sorry I didn't see you falling off a bit so that I could get you back on. I said, actually, I'm glad you didn't see it because I needed this to happen, because now I'm more fired up than ever now, so anyway, that's where it is. If there was any moment in time where I was more fired up about the name of this course, this was it, because this was, don't get me wrong. Nobody's playing a violin for me, but what I'm saying is that fourth quarter that I had was probably one of the worst quarters I've ever had in 10 years. Okay. Now, if you looked at my year in totality, people would be like, oh, you did great. But it literally was good, and then zero. Okay. So, if you're looking at it like I look at it, and you're versus looking at it as somebody said, how was your year? Well, your year, you see the top 20. I'm right there, but that doesn't really tell the full story. The full story is I probably could have doubled what I did, but I made some decisions that weren't good. And I don't want to say I paid for it, but when you either pay for something with money or experience, and that was a lesson that I went into my team meeting a few weeks ago, and I said, congrats guys, we're all on the same playing field now, because this is not me telling you guys what to do anymore. We're all doing this. So
you were going to be like a rainmaker kind of position. And
I was before, but the difference is that when I don't know, I'm not a KW lifer. Like, I just got here, so I'm looking at it like, okay, I want to subscribe to that millionaire real estate agent, the book, the scripts, the model, and the 7 levels and all this. And I'm thinking, okay, how do I get to that 7th level where I'm out? They're producing. I have the leverage, and that the timing was not good. Like, I was pushing it faster than it could go. And, that's on me. And I won't do that anymore. So I'm back to the realistic 3rd to 4th level of the 7 levels, where I was trying to drive hard to that 7th level, but I'm nowhere near that yet.
I'm pretty new. 7 levels. 7 levels L.
7 levels MREA book. You got to read Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Just get it. Start reading it.
I'm reading Millionaire Investor.
Yeah. What is that? The blue one? I don't even know. Yeah. Read the red one too.
You haven't got to the red one yet.
You should probably start with the red one, then work on to the other ones.
Yeah.
So I have a question. So when your production falls off, you don't meet your goals. So when you make your goals for the next year, because obviously it's the new year, do you base your goals off the bad performance, or do you try and leapfrog to where you should have been and base it off that?
No, I just set the same exact goal.
Okay.
I didn't hit it. Let's hit it. I didn't really try and micromanage that part. It wasn't that I didn't hit it because my skill set dwindled. I didn't hit it because I changed roles. Just decided to change roles midway and kind of hope that the slack was going to get. And that's not a negative on them. That was just me forecasting that they would be able to generate that revenue. What
What did your max go let's say, that you decided to pull back?
Oh, well, it was interesting because when I talked to my MAPS coach about it, she's like, you've done what every owner of every team and every freaking market center has done, and
So it's part of the course.
it's the growth of it, but it just it bothered it, you know, some people are just like, okay, well, that type of stuff irks me, you know, to where so like, for instance, like you know, like we always go through these slides, you know, and you know, I always tell people, you know, yeah, I'm an equity partner and all that, and all this crazy nonsense that means absolutely nothing if there's no profit. But but you know, really, the reality of it is that when we go through all this stuff, you know, this is the part where how many listings, how many pendings, for me, in this third and fourth quarter, you know, the numbers might have been reflecting my teams as well. And now I'm going to report to you guys mine. Okay? Because I told my team on no uncertain terms. I mean, I love the guys on my team, you know, but I told them, like, the way that I look at this is, of course I want a team. That was the reason why I joined KW, to get the leverage, to learn the systems, to be able to step back, you know? But the truth of the matter is that if they're not going to produce, it's not going to affect my lifestyle one bit, because I'll produce. The only difference is that I'll have to do a lot more than I was doing physically in the field. All right. So now when we talk about this and I report, just know this is not my team anymore. This is just me reporting to you guys like I'm a single agent. Because the truth of the matter is in 90 days, if nobody starts producing on my team, I will be a single agent. You know, that's just the reality of the business. You know, all these titles and all these things that everybody, you know, this glorification of everything, it only comes down to production in this business. If you're not producing, you're out of business. Don't rely on anybody. Don't rely on people generating leads for you. Don't rely on any of that. Don't rely on team members help. Don't rely on any of it, because if they leave, if they move, if anything happens, you're on your own. So I'm going to start this, and then you guys are going to, if you recall last time, I told you guys that, I mean, I've been in the business for what, 17 years now. I had told you guys I had 10 listings and I had 1 pending. Okay. And I think I rated myself like a 5 or something. All right. Now I have 14 listings. Now it's been like a month because we canceled a few weeks ago. I had some crazy thing happen at my house, and then I think Christmas or whatever, who knows. 14 listings, and now I have 4 pendings. All right. So I'm doing that because obviously I need to do it. I got, you know, bills to pay like everybody else. I got a daughter at college. I got a son going to college next year. I'm just like any other person. Okay. And then, but here's the difference. If my team crumbled tomorrow, I got 14 listings and 4 pendings. Nothing has changed. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So what did you do to get those, you know, extra additional from 10 to 14 listings?
Well, I got to the point where I felt like, okay, let's pretend that I no longer have a team. I no longer have the benefit of making the percentages that I'm making off of team members and all this stuff. You know, it's all me now. What am I going to do? And I just went back to the basics of circle prospecting, calling on my clients for referrals, you know, really saying to myself, what am I going to do so that the register rings in the, at the end of Q1, because these deals aren't going to close till March. There's still not a lot of revenue coming in. But then when the revenue comes in, I'm now working for March, April, May, June, and I'm not going to let myself fall into a position where there's no revenue coming in Q3 and Q4 like there was last year. I mean, there was, but it wasn't consistent revenue. In Q1 and Q2 is where I historically made all my money in this business. But that was like a limiting belief that I also told myself things were only good for me in Q1 and Q2 and the summer suck and all that bullshit. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just like going after any business that I can, meeting with as many prospects as I can, meeting with as many people in my network as I can, and grabbing business wherever it's available. So like the 4 new deals, one's a former client, one's a referral from a trust and estates lawyer. No idea who the client was, never met the client before. We went out and had lunch. The mother died. The sons inherited the property. He recommended me. They reached out to me. I listed the house. $490,000 listing. It's under contract. I had like 4 offers on it in like 10 minutes. To me, it kind of fired me up because I don't typically deal in that price point, but I need to get revenue rolling now. So, as opposed to $2 million listing, $3 million listing where it takes
months,
however long it takes. This literally, I tell you, like if you get a listing that's $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, it's just as much work as the $3 million. It's just a different kind of work. Okay. So the work that you do with a $2 or $3 million listing is more client related because you're doing a lot of hand holding because you're not getting the calls. Okay. You're not getting the reps. You're not getting a million people walking through the house. Okay. When you're dealing with a $2, $3, $4, $500,000 deal, you're getting a million prospects. Okay. And then you're dealing with trying to explain to the seller which deal you think is the best. And then you have to go back and explain to the agents why you didn't accept their offer, make sure that they don't, just crucify you and never show your listings again. So there's a million different dynamics going on based on where you are in the price point. So a lot of my week this past week has been going back to agents that submitted great offers and explaining, look, we couldn't take it. I appreciate it. But here's what happened. Here's what happened. It's time consuming. But there is a lot of things that go into it. And so that's why when somebody says to me, oh, I wish I was selling million, no, you don't. They're both a nightmare. That's the reality of it. They're both a nightmare, different nightmares. That's why the group coaching and the scripts and role play is so important because you have to know how to talk to everybody in any situation. And you can't really get rattled. You can't, or you just lose all the way around.
So is there a script you use for circle prospecting, or when you said that you made all these calls to your past clients, and so is there a script you use?
I mean, if you guys know that, I mean, I would say that there's scripts, but they're not like these pages that John hands you. I've said them so many times that they're like, it's rote memory at this point. But, when I call the trust and estates lawyer, I call him, I say, hey, listen, let's grab lunch. We got to catch up. While we're at lunch, what do you got? What can I help you with? And then he actually said, this guy just died. The brother lives in Virginia. One of them lives down here. They're going to start interviewing agents. Let me just connect you with them. The script part of it is me calling first and giving them my pitch so that it's embedded in their mind so that now, even if they were going to go and talk to somebody else, they know 2 things. One, we spoke to Jay and it was a decent conversation, and our lawyer recommended him.
Bingo, key point.
Okay? So even if they had somebody in their mind before, they probably still go talk to this person. But I'm still have a shot.
But the referral is like, it's waiting goal.
It is, but like before, they didn't ask their lawyer for a referral. They assumed they were going with somebody. He just stepped in and made a point to do it because he wants to get the assets sold and he doesn't know the other person.
Makes sense. And he has a good relationship with you, obviously.
Yeah. So, now what's interesting about the conversation is that Stewart, the attorney, okay, jokingly at lunch, like this is like as real as it gets, okay? This is a high profile trust in the state's attorney, okay? I call him up on the phone. Hey, we got to go to lunch. All right, Jay, where do you want to go? Stewart, you pick the place. No lie. Burger King, Chick-fil-A. I'm like, what? So we went to Chick-fil-A because it's his freaking favorite restaurant. And we did the whole thing right there. You know, I mean, that was it. That was the whole thing. I mean, it's not any more complicated than that. But the difference is that I'll make myself available, number one, to make calls immediately. And number two, the minute he said, oh, I'm open today, I'm there. Just pounce on the business. Can we put this on? There's a couple reasons why I won't put it off. One, because I don't know what his schedule is like. And two, I don't know what the buyers are thinking. The buyers want to talk to agents. I got to get it going now. So we set it up, and then he called the sellers and said, expect a call from this guy. And even he said, look, I don't know what they're going to do. It's not my house, but I'll make the recommendation. Now, obviously it worked out and we're under contract. And I think the inspection went down this morning, that's a whole nother can of worms, but those are the things out of my control, so.
Jason, did you disclose to them that you're not only a real estate agent, but you're coming from you're still a lawyer?
Yeah, they knew. I mean, they knew. I don't think they really cared, but they knew.
Well,
They care. They didn't really care because they got their lawyer,
Right, and he's the recommended and trusted person in their future.
Ultimately, they don't really care about the legal side of it because they know at the end he's going to be reviewing all their docs anyway.
Exactly.
But it doesn't hurt.
Of course not.
Right.
Because any other real estate agent going into them is going in cold.
Yeah, cold is the key word. All right, so wait. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So how many calls and how many actually, lunches you went to before you got this, cultivated into a?
There was 2 phone calls with Stewart and 1 lunch, and 1 with the client. And then I learned that the client owned this asset with his brother, so I went and visited the brother who lives here. So 4 or 5.
And then what about calling other people who weren't available or you couldn't, get business from them? Like how many calls did you do?
So once I decided that there was no way that I was going to ever let the 3rd and 4th quarter happen like it did last year, I adopted the schedule, the time blocking. So my schedule is basically, it's a little dicey in the morning, but at 7:30 I leave my house, I go to the gym. All right. Where I do a lot of networking. It's all professional athletes, it's like a free for all in there. And then I'm out of there by about 9. Okay. Once I get home, I shower, whatever. And then I spend the next 2.5 hours lead gen. Now my lead gen might look different than your lead gen. I'm not banging expireds and doing all that stuff, but I'm making dozens of calls, texting 1 million people, and setting up one-on-ones. So I will not meet with somebody at least once a day, at least. And so by noon, I'm done with all of it. So let's say 10 to noon, I'm done with the lead gen. And then the only days that I cut it short are Tuesday and Wednesday when I'm here for either the office meeting or my team meeting, which is my team meeting is Tuesday at 11, and the market center meeting is Wednesday at like 11. Those 2 times I'm in the office, but I'm still lead generating while I'm here because I won't leave here until I have someone to meet. I just want to meet somebody because it's almost like the difference of me saying when somebody calls me on the phone and says, I have an offer for your seller. And I go, okay, great. What is it? Oh, well, can you just relay the verbal? No. Why? Why would you want me to relay the verbal? Oh, because if we can't get it done, I don't want to waste time. And so my problem with an agent that says that is that they don't even understand what they got going on right now. Okay. If I'm representing the buyer, I don't want to relay a verbal for them. I want them to commit to the whole process. Signing, getting emotionally tied into the property, all these things, okay? If I say the agent thinks that it's a waste of their time. It wouldn't be a waste of their time if they actually had their client sign something, get emotionally invested, and start engaging in the process of really deciding they want to move forward on this property. If somebody makes a verbal offer for $500,000 on a $600,000 property, and the seller says it's verbal, no, the end. Then the buyer, not the agent, the buyer is like, okay, well, let's just move on to the next property. However, if they put in a written offer for $500,000 and then the seller counters in writing at $575,000, then the buyer's agent, if they're worth their salt, goes back and says, okay, look, you know what? We knew we were never going to get this at $500,000. They did chop $25,000 off. I think we should go back in. We've already gone this far. Let's see what we can do. You're more likely to get things going, okay? It's the same way with meeting somebody as opposed to talking to them on the phone. The commitment's not there. They got in the car, they drove, they got the coffee, this happened, that happened. For the 30 minutes that it takes, it's much more beneficial if you can get somebody in front of you. Which is why Richard is always sprouting out about present the offer and all that, It kind of makes it more real. So before we get too off on a tangent, do you guys want to fess up about your January or February? Or no? Nobody? Go ahead.
My name is Dylan. I've been in the business for 10 years. I actually got a listing today. One listing and 0 pending. And I'm going to rate myself out of 10.
Whatever you want.
All right. Well, I've been slacking lately, so I'm going to give myself like a 2 out of 10.
2 out of 10. All right. Next.
My name is Craig. I am in the business coming on 4 years. I have 2 listings and 5 pending. I'll rate myself 5.
Okay, 5 pending is good for you, man. That's a nice. So you'll be on the board. You'll probably be number 1. Wayne.
Yeah, I'm in a quagmire, a woman around the corner, for sale by owner for 3 months now. Every other real estate agent that put up a sign in and around has already closed and sold. And I passed her yesterday and I stopped right in the street. I dialed her phone number and I waited for her to pick up, her, Marisol. And I said, good morning, Marisol, it's Wayne again. And she couldn't even talk. I mean, she was so sick. She couldn't even get out of words. I said, you don't sound too well. I said, do you need any medication? I mean, can I stop at Walgreens, a Robitussin, NyQuil, go into a coma? Let me help you. Well, I need some diet to sort of get better, and maybe we'll talk about it. I said, maybe. I mean, all the houses around you have already turned. All the signs are out of the ground, and I don't want to bother you because you really sound under the weather. But I have been trying and scripting and and off the cuff and moving her trash cans off the street when her car is not there and leaving my car 15, 20 times, and I'm just not making any headway.
So just is that? I mean, but you can't be committing all your efforts to just that.
It's only when I drive past because it's in my development. It's literally around the corner, and it's horrific when you and then the house. She wants too much money for it. You go to the house, they want $350. It's got a pool. It's on a golf course, and yet the front doors are coming apart. So you know it's problematic. And it's not that I'm spending all my time on that one thing. I'm not. It's just when I pass, I'm in the mood because there's a divorce there and everything else. It's just after a while, something becomes a mission.
So making a mission, but not to the detriment of the rest of your business.
Yeah, right now everything's been closed and done, and I don't really have anything really going. I have been moving and scripting. My general sidetracks were medical conditions of mine, myself, and my mother. Always keep an excuse cloud over my head. And, so I'll rate myself about a 3 because I was down.
See, so look at this. So you got 2, 5, 3. Shrek?
0.5.
0.5?
5? You're alive and well.
I mean, rate yourself.
Rate yourself, huh?
That's what I'm.
Okay, well, do you have any listings?
But yeah, so my name is Shrey. I've been in the business for over 1.5 years. 1 listing, 1 pending, and 0.5.
Okay. 0.5.
I mean, because I'm saying
You're a little hard on
that
yourself.
he's been like in the business and he's rating 1. And I know there's so
But
much to learn.
I haven't
and-
been working.
I'm just saying that, like, you've been in the business, you're rating yourself 5. I mean, I'm not even like 0.5 of 10% of you right now. So if I were to rate myself, I would rate even lower because there's so much more to learn. And
How many listings do you think you should have and how many pendings that you should be higher?
my goal would be 10 listings, 10 pending.
There you go.
What's the most you've ever had?
I've had 5 listings and 3 pending.
Good. What about you, Enrique?
I've been in business for 1 year and 5 months. I have 0 listings and 0 pending, and I'll rate myself for 1.
Jeff Frame, 2 months in the business, and circle process, family and friends. Just, I'm having fun, so I don't know, out of naivete, I would rate myself a 10. I don't know where I should be.
Really?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm having fun.
Okay.
That's
good. All right, so
I don't know.
let me. Here's the topic. All right. Now, anybody know what this is?
It's a lift.
It's a slide.
It's a slide.
It's getting between where you are right now and where you want.
There you go. Okay, so I really would love to draw something, but
Be the bridge.
I want these dates. I don't know. You think I can erase this?
Sure.
Yeah, that was John DeMartinez. He's not with us.
Oh, okay. So all right. I gotta explain this to you guys so you understand the gap. So I have 4 pendings. And one's gonna close March 10th. One's gonna close March 10th. Weird. One's gonna close March 5th. And the other one is gonna close 4/1. Okay? Now, if I had been doing all my stuff in November and December like I was supposed to, I would have probably 4 more, and they would be closing now,
Yes, February.
February through 3/10, let's say. Okay, so the gap for me is that there's 0 income coming in until 3/5. Okay, now between 3/5 and 4/1, a lot of income will come in. All right, and so like that's what I'm saying. Like somebody will say, "Well, your year looks great." Who gives a fuck? It was 4 deals, right? You don't know if this was spread out from January to 4/1, or if it was one deal that closed on 4/1. Okay, so what I'm saying is that there's a gap. Now that my gap is a time gap. All right. There's also the actual inventory gap. All right. Those 2 things are what you guys have to manage. All right. Now, obviously, you can't manage a time gap if you have no inventory. All right. And so the key for you guys is inventory. So if you guys are rating yourselves, rate yourselves on inventory. Okay. If you don't have a lot of inventory, you're out of business. That's just all there is to it. If you have 0 listings, you're out of the business. You're out of the business, basically, unless you have a buyer that is key on doing stuff right now. Because buyers don't normally pan out. I'm working with 2 buyers right now, both in the $2 million range. Now, they aren't part of the report because they might just vanish.
Flaky as hell.
They could be like, you know what, we're going to put it off right now, this, that. I have no idea. Until that deal is inked and the money is hard, I don't even consider that pending. I don't even consider it inventory, because I just don't trust that the buyer is going to work out. And the 2 buyers that I have are great buyers. But you can't dictate their timelines. Life happens and their priorities change. So I'm doing everything I can to keep them happy. But I can't predict when things are going to close. I can't predict the next time we're going to go out and look for houses. I can't predict anything, so I'm out. So here's the deal. Yeah, go ahead.
Did you sign any?
No, but that's on me. I just never have, and I probably never will. And I'm sure every bold coach will hate me for the rest of my life. Yeah.
Most of your clients that you work with, on the buyers and the sellers, are these primary homes or this secondary, third home?
Mostly primary. Yeah. So here's the definition, at least in my view. Okay. You really have to have a steady flow of listings to really feel good in this business. Because when you control the inventory, it's one less headache that you have to concern yourself with. You don't have to worry about a buyer doing something without you. You don't have to worry about if you didn't catch, if you weren't able to make a showing for your own listing. It's still your listing. That's a conversation with the seller, but it's not dismissive to the point where you're not going to have the listing anymore. That's just an easy conversation. I can make it this, that, whatever that conversation is. But the bottom line is that the bottom line is that the last sentence, if you have inventory, all right, and you control listings, every problem goes away. But you have to have a lot of listings. You can't have one. Because one is not enough to effectively generate your time gap. Okay? How many guys know anything about bonds? Municipal bonds, anything? Okay. So like, if you're 70 years old and you have a couple $1 million in the bank and you're averse to risk, right? They're going to say to you, okay, you know what? Let's put your money in municipal bonds and let's get you 3, 4, 5% or whatever they're going to say. All right. And so the guy's going to do, or the girl's going to do, is she's going to say, what we need to do is we need to ladder these bonds out, because you're expecting this passive income. And we can't get you paid all once a year. We need to get you paid monthly. This is your income, So we're going to make sure that the dividends hit January, February, March, April. You got to look at your business just like that. You need stuff closing every month because the gaps are going to kill you in this business. You can't have gaps where you had a great January and then you made no money February, March, April. That puts every realtor out of business. And the only way to control that is to constantly have a lot of inventory. And that's why I said at the last time we were doing this, that even with 10 listings, it wasn't enough because they weren't pending fast enough. It's not that you're doing anything wrong, and it's not that the market is doing anything wrong. Because you can't control economy, you can't control recession, you can't control anything. All you can control is the number of listings. So the only thing is okay, listen, I have 10 listings and only one is pending and it's pending in March. That obviously is not the foolproof method to make sure you're getting paid every month. So the only dynamic that you can control in that situation is get more listings. And even though the gap is still going to be a ways off because it might take time for them to close, the more listings you have, the more chances you have that something's going to start closing in April, May, June, July, August. And that part of it is the part that most agents just forget about. They start getting all crazy about one listing or one deal. That takes over their whole life, and then they forget about the whole game plan. So the question is there one reason? Do you guys think there's one reason for the gap? I mean, what is your thought on why the gap exists?
Follow. Lack thereof, let's say.
Not consistent.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Not lead generator.
All good answers. So I'm going to give you the answer key. There are three reasons, and these are the three. First, habit. Okay? So this is the first thing. You have to create the habit every day of doing something. Okay? If there's a gap in someone's production, it's one of these three things. I promise you it's one of these three things. The habit part is the lead gen part, the going to group coaching every day part, forming good habits. If you don't form good habits, there's no way that you can bridge the gap. It's impossible because you'll engage in bad habits like I did, where you just ride Q1 and Q2 and just rely on the rest of it. And it's stupid. Now, there are people that have great habits. You know a lot of these people. They exist in this office. They come to every meeting. They show up for scripts and role play. They do necessarily what John and Alan and the administrative people in this office demand. However, the habit's not enough. Okay? You got to have skills. Okay? So going through the motions of just time blocking for the sake of time blocking is not going to do it. Okay. So, like, for instance, if you went to group coaching every day, yet you never engaged, you never got ridiculed or went into a conversation with John or any of the guys that teach it or whatever, and went down that road with a bunch of people looking at you like you were crazy and fumbling on your words and all the rest of the stuff that happens in there, then your skill set is severely diminished. Now, if I said to you, do you go to group coaching? Oh, I go to group coaching every day. Well, do you partake in it? Are you honing the skill? Because if you're not honing the skill, you're dead in the field. Dead. Okay? So there are lots of times, and this is where it comes into the idea of habits, but no skill. How many times do you speak to an agent who does a lot of work, goes to the meetings, does this, goes out for the appointment and doesn't get the listing? It happens a lot. That is because they don't have the skill set to close anyone. Okay? That's why when you go to Bold and they say, what is the percentage of that you're going to close this person? Do you close 50, 60, 70, 80%? That has nothing to do with opportunities. It's skill set. The opportunities come from the habit of calling 1 million people. Okay? If you call 80 million people, you're going to get appointments. Whether or not you close them is a whole nother story. Because remember, if you get the appointment, other crazy lunatic people that are also making 80 million phone calls are also getting the appointment. Okay? So now you're going up against 3, 4, 5 other agents, which is fine. You just have to have the skill set to close them. If you don't close them, then you're like, oh my God, what am I doing all this for? I time blocked, I went to group coaching, I wake up at 7, I meet for productivity coaching with John DiMartino, I have my one-on-ones with John Dietz, Alan Waxman yells at me all the time, I get yelled at by Richard Bass for writing my contracts wrong, all these things happen to me, and then I go on these 3 appointments, and I still get 0. And that is not an issue if you skill up. Because the truth of the matter is that's much easier to get that handled. The only difference is that you just have to be more proactive when you're engaged in those habits.
So participation is key.
You have to. I mean, what would be the point of going and just sitting in the back of the room? It's like if I say to you guys, Jay, how do you lead generate? Okay. And some of it is networking. If I go and network, I'm not sitting in the corner with a beer. I'm out there I got to make the most of this hour and a half. You know, what do I need to do to walk away with 5 or 10 really good contacts that I'm going to follow up with? I'm not going to rely on them to follow up with me because their habits and skills suck. Mine are good though. So I'm going to be bothering the shit out of them to make that 90 minutes worth my while. Otherwise, I'm not there to hang out with, people all the time say, Jay, what's up? You look frazzled. You look this, because I'm not there to talk to my friends. I can do that anytime. I can go out and have a beer and, drink, smoke cigars, whatever. I can do that with anybody. But if I'm in a networking event, of course we're going to be jovial in this, but I'm not going to spend the majority of my time doing that. I'm going to spend the majority of my time making sure that I'm capitalizing on opportunities, okay? And making sure that when I leave, that I have a lot of opportunities to follow up afterwards. If I left and didn't have anybody to contact, that's a complete failure. Just like an open house. I tell my guy, you're gonna do an open house. Everybody asks me, can I do an open house for you? Can I do an open house for you? Sure. You go ahead, do an open house for me. Then I ask them how the open house was. Like 2 people showed up. You follow up with them? No, they didn't really seem interested. You're going to spend 3-4 hours doing that, putting down signs, doing an open house, and you're not going to get any information on anybody? I mean, that is a skill. The habit of now let's go through the question. From the habit perspective, if you sat here and I said to you, how many open houses do you do a week? And you said, you know what? Every week I do one. That's a great habit, right? That is a fantastic habit for a real estate agent. Now, if I said to you, how many buyers do you convert? And you said, you know, I've been doing open houses for 3 months and I haven't converted one. That's a skill set. Okay? You have the habit. Now you're way ahead of the game because most agents won't even do the open house because they don't have the habit. You have the habit. You just haven't skilled up yet. So you have to skill up and then combine the two because most people won't do anything. Most people won't lead generate. Most people won't do open houses. Most people won't network. Most people won't go up to people that they don't know. Those are all habits.
So they want the business to fall.
Yeah. This is, the car sale, the car sales. You walk in, who do I need to speak to about this car? That guy or gal doesn't have any business until somebody walks in. That's why you speak to weak agents that don't know how to lead generate, they'll ask you where the office is because they want to make sure the office is in a nice plaza where there's walk-in traffic. I had an agent want to work on my team and asked me if there was floor time. And I was like, no, there's no floor time. Nobody's calling in randomly so they can speak to you. There's 300 agents here. Why would they want to speak to you?
They did that in the 70s.
Okay, so you understand how important the skill part of it is. So like if you're going to commit to all these great habits, skill up, okay?
Number 3.
Now, the last one is mindset, okay? Now look, this is a tough one because this is subjective, but there are a number of people in this office who don't believe they're knowledgeable to get the business, knowledgeable enough to get the business, okay? So, that's the whole don't listen to your drunk monkey nonsense and fake it till you make it stuff and all that, BS. When I transitioned from law to real estate, selling real estate, I didn't know anything about it. Nothing. Zero. Now, do I know law? Do I know contract? Yes. But the actual day-to-day of selling, and I could have had the mindset, well, I really just don't know enough yet, or I quickly subscribe to the idea that, I don't really think my family gives a flying fuck if I don't know how to sell. I'm coming from the law. They're used to me making a certain amount of money. I got a lifestyle that I got to kind of, exactly. I don't have a choice. So I had to kind of accelerate the learning curve. That's a mindset issue. I think I can, and I will do this. There are a number of people in here that for whatever reason have it in their minds that, you know what, I've only been a realtor for a month or a year or 3 years. I've spoke to people. They say it takes like 5 to 10 years. So I'm just going to give myself a whole decade to figure this out. I mean, that doesn't work because, and I've had this exact conversation, not about production, but about how long things should take. Okay. And I'm telling you this verbatim from Gary Keller, sitting like this in his office in Austin. I asked him that question. How long should it take? Now, I was asking him about the team. Like, how long should it take before I can really have this? It should take however long you want it to take, was his answer. Now, I thought about it and I was like, Jesus Christ, how vague. Okay. But the truth of the matter is that it actually is a really good answer because what he was basically saying is that the person will decide through rationalizing and everything else is if they didn't get it done this year, they'll be like, well, it's only been a year. If he wants to get you done, like with the technology, with Josh Team and all that, it gets done. Remax, Douglas Elliman, Compass, we're working on all our, he's just getting it done. He doesn't care. Okay. So when he said that, it helped and it hurt. It helped because I figured out that, you know what, I don't want to put any, what's the word?
Constraints.
Not constraints, but I don't want to put any reasons why I shouldn't be able to attain something. Like, I don't want to give myself any excuses. On the flip side, though, I pushed thinking I could accelerate where I was on the team levels to the point where I was moving myself out of production and relying on the team and doing things that just weren't even, I was pushing it even quicker than Gary would have pushed it. Okay. And that was just my mistake. And that was a timing issue, not a production issue. That was just, and so when John basically said, oh, I should have seen this, and as your team leader, I should have been all over you. And I said, it's no big deal because you did me a favor. You let me fail a little bit, and I was so pissed off that this will not happen again. Now, you know what he said to me? He is so pissed about the profitability of the office and how it fell apart versus last year. And he was like, you know what? Point noted. It will never happen to me again either. Because he kind of from that perspective, took his eye off the ball. From the office. From the, how he comes in there and he says, with his NFL and, with the, never lay down and just keep offense. It's 4 quarters. We're coasting in the second quarter, or you can just keep going third and fourth. Like, he kind of just coasted. We Q1 and Q2 were ridiculous. Much better than Q1 and Q2 of 2018. So he was sitting back going, you know what, this thing is running itself. I can be a MAPS coach. I can be this. I can be that. Same kind of thing, just different, And he said, what an eye-opening experience. I took my eye off the ball for 2 seconds and the whole freaking office fell apart. Now he quit being a MAPS coach. He's back in the saddle of just, I'm running this office, and that's with a good economy. That's what things move, stock market hitting highs every day. And it's easy to get caught up in this. Now, here's the part. If I say to you guys, can we all agree that these are the 3 pieces? Habit, skill set, mindset. That's easy to just say, you know what? Yep, those are 3 easy pieces. Now, we all know nobody is going to do any of this stuff. Or everybody is going to agree, but nobody's going to make any serious steps, or at least the majority of people won't make serious steps towards it. So in my personal experience, okay, the skill set's been there. The mindset was a little skewed time-wise, but the habits fell off because I was trying to transition to like owner versus doing the everyday stuff. My skill set to close somebody, to talk to somebody, I can do all that. The habit part was the stuff that was falling apart for me. I wouldn't lead gen. I wouldn't do this because I wanted my team to do it. And so now I'm back making sure that the habits are there. But the truth of the matter is that if you don't figure out these 4 questions, it doesn't matter that you think that you need good habits, that you need to be skillful, that you have to have a good mindset. If you can't specifically answer these 4 questions, you're not going to employ any of it. You're just not. Because, like, for instance, if you have 0 listings and you're happy where you're at, you're not motivated. You're not going to change, okay? If you have 1 listing and you're happy where you're at, you're not going to change. Like, I have 14. I'm just like Alan Waxman, perpetually pissed off. That's it. I mean, it's just whatever. It's a character flaw. I don't know what else to tell you, okay? You have to know why you're in the profession. Why are you doing it? Because, and you don't have to know it for yourself or for me. You have to know it because somebody's going to ask you, why do you do this? People used to say to me all the time, you like the law? No, I don't. You know, like I know the law. I don't love it. You know, what motivates you specifically? Do you have an answer for that? You know, it's not enough to just say, well, I need money to live. That's not enough.
It's not an answer. It
You know,
never was.
what, the whole one thing, the whole, what's your why? Get that. That's the part that you got to answer. And then the fourth one, the are you willing to go all in? This is the part where, what?
That's the most important.
Right, exactly. So if we were sitting in a room on a Wednesday with John leading the market center, right? And he went around the room and he asked, what motivates you specifically? I'll bet you everybody comes up with a pretty good answer. My family, my faith, whatever. Why are you in this profession? Probably could come up with a good answer. Are you genuinely happy? Everybody's either going to say yes, not really, no, I hate exactly where I am, this is a nightmare, whatever. The fourth question, I think people would absolutely lie, okay? Because everybody will say yes and nobody will. The question is why? And that goes back to question one. They're not motivated. Whatever it is, okay, it's not enough of a trigger to get them to go all in, okay? I don't care if it's looming foreclosure, divorce, family issues, money issues, adultery, anything. Whatever it is going on with them personally and professionally, it's still not enough to get them to go all in to do this business. So the pain threshold for most people is so high, okay, that it just boggles the mind, okay, what people could take before they're willing to do something. I mean, think about it like this, okay? And this is not a knock on anybody or anyone. I'm a big proponent of helping the homeless. I do a lot of charity work because it's just one of those things that's just a gut wrenching like trigger for me when I see somebody on the street. Now think about those people that are homeless. The idea to get to that point, that's a lot of things that have to happen. Okay. They're willing to go through a lot of pain. Now, a lot of it sometimes is uncontrollable, but a lot of times they just haven't, it's not enough of a deterrent. Okay. So I believe that there are a number of people in this office that no matter what, will never go all in, ever. It's not enough. They would rather be broke on Facebook, anything but to lead generate, to do this, which goes back to the question of why are you in this profession? Like, if you really don't want to do any of it in your heart of hearts, if you don't want to lead gen, if you don't want to network, if you don't want to go out there and close deals, if you don't like selling, what the fuck are you doing here? It's not, nobody's forcing you to be here. You either like it or you don't, I mean, this is a tough business, but the reality of it is if you're my age or anybody with any experience in the field in any business, you learn very quickly that all businesses are tough, okay? And when you learn really quickly that all businesses are tough and that you're going to expend effort no matter what business you're engaged in, you figure out what you like and what you don't like. So it's very easy to decide you hate something when you're not doing any business. If Craig, if I asked you, hey, listen, you're at a 2, right? You're at a 5. Okay, so you're at a 5 and you have 2 listings and 5 pendings, right? Okay, so right now, right this very second, how do you feel about the business of being a real estate agent?
Well, I have more pendings than I've ever had.
Okay.
In one aspect, that's good. I only have 2 listings. That's not so good.
Okay.
So
But I mean, if somebody came out of college and said to you, should I go into the real estate business? I want to be a real estate agent. You look like you're having a ball. What are you going to say?
it's a great business if you're willing to work your ass off.
And would you tell them to come into the business?
Yeah, well, it depends how hard they're willing to work.
So let me ask you this. If you didn't have the 5 pendings, would your answers be the same?
No.
What would you say?
I have 3.
Huh?
I have
No, not your rating,
Oh,
how you
oh,
feel about the
oh,
business.
Be honest, it probably change.
Okay, now let's change it again. You just came from a closing and your commission check was 90 grand. Now you're going to lunch with the prospect.
Thanks, great.
See how easily that changes? So I'm saying that's the mindset part, okay? The mindset shifts all day long based on the gap.
That shift was driven by money,
Yeah, exactly, but it's driven by inventory.
But it's confidence. Having
Right.
money is.
Yeah, the money is the byproduct of the inventory, of managing the gap.
And the one thing in this business, there's so many ups and downs.
Right, and so that also gets handled from the gap
It's mindset.
because there's less of the highs and lows when you have the inventory.
So just going back real quick, because I don't think we're going to be able to circle back there. I know that you were saying earlier that having one listing is not where you need to be to have the momentum to be generating enough business. But what we used to is like the minimum amount of listings that you would need in order to be getting that consistent.
Let's put it this way. My answer to that is going to be not a number. Okay, it's a feeling. And the feeling is that I've always told people that you should be looking for as many listings as you can until you personally are overwhelmed.
So you can't handle it.
Like you're just like, okay, let's assimilate this to other professions, all right? I mean, I'm 50. I've had a million different jobs starting when I was like 12 years old, okay? When I was 18, 19, I was a waiter. Anybody a waiter before?
Yeah.
Okay. Your first day there, you have 1 table, everything's cool. You try and get 2 or 3 tables, you're in the weeds, you're completely fucked up, okay? 5 tables, you're out of your mind. 7, you're probably getting fired. All right. Now, a month in, you want like 10 tables because I can make $300 tonight. You know, it's the same with real estate. First deal, if you're a new agent, you're like, this is crazy. I got inspectors calling me, appraisers calling me, this, that. Couple years into the business, I got 14 listings. It's not like my phone's ringing. You know, I got a good handle on it. It's the same exact business. The same exact. Don't let anybody play it up and tell you how sophisticated it is to be a real estate agent. It's not.
That's a great analogy, Joe.
Okay? So I'm just saying, like, your comfort level is going to expand as you get better and you can actually produce more. There are guys, you've seen this at the restaurants where, like, you'll sit at a table and then you'll move and then the waiter will get pissed because now he's not making any money. I mean, this is the exact scenario, okay? If you can handle the entire restaurant, keep going. You know, I mean, like, I feel like I don't have enough business. I feel like that for, perpetually, because I just want the gap for when money is coming in to be more consistent. Not the amount of money, just getting paid, okay? Where getting paid for me is like this, getting paid should be a little bit more steady. That's the challenge in this business. And that challenge is not whether you're good or not at being a realtor. The challenge is how much business you have going on and how much of that business is now business that can close. If I get 10, let me put it to you this way. If I got a whole neighborhood of $5 million listings tomorrow, still not closing for a year and a half. I still have no money coming in. I could have $100 million worth of inventory tomorrow. And if it's all in that price point, that does not make the register ring. So, you got the Melissa Pabones and all these people doing $300,000-$400,000 deals, and all these people running around going, oh, you know what? I wish I could get to your level. Who cares about my level? This level is not that great. The level you want to be at is consistency in any price point. Okay? You need the $200,000 to $300,000 deals to get paid. The $1 million deals are your vacation money and the this and the that ring the register once every 6-7 months. Forget about those. Go and corner the market on $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 deals. 4 years ago, Premier in Deerfield, Boca, the Liguri brothers, they came and they asked me, hey, Jay, come to Premier. You'd be great. We need West agents out here, blah, blah, blah. And I went to the office and they said, you know what, Jay? We're ready. Come, let's do this. But, Premier's rule is you can't take a listing below $1 million. Literally. If you take a listing for $999,000, you have to refer it out. Okay? Now, I said to them, what happens when the market changes? What happens when the bottom's going to fall out?
It always does.
Okay? What am I going to do then when all my $1 million, 2 listings are $800,000? Well, you got to refer them out. Bye.
See you later.
Bye. We're operating right now in a market that's off the chain. The minute interest rates start trickling up, the minute there's even the word recession comes out in any newspaper, we're right back, not back to where we were in 2009, but we're gonna be on the other side of the mountain. Okay, and so it's not going to be the debacle, but we are going to be trending lower. Why not get good at working the price points that we know we're going to be at anyway?
Is Premier still in business?
Yeah, huge. But they do Hillsborough Mile. It's a very niche type of business. So what have we learned? Know the gap. Drill down on specific reasons for the gap. Okay, how you're going to get paid. Habit, skill, mindset. All three are things to work on. You know where you guys are weak. Work on 1, 2, or all. All about the activities. All about the activities. Not signing up for the activity, engaging in the activity. Everything is about the activity. What does he say, Keller? Time over task, right? That's not walking in for an hour and saying, I went to the meeting. That's what did you do for the hour? Okay? Perfecting the craft. If you're going to wake up at 8 o'clock to come in to group coaching, monopolize the time. You want to get to the point where somebody sitting next to you is like, give somebody else a turn. You have a free coach. Take advantage of it, man. Take advantage of it. And remember number 5, okay?
Oh, yeah.
It's very easy to get caught up in how great a market center KW is. There are other workplaces where things are not great. The dynamic is not great. The vibe is not great. This is a great place, but it can't trump production. It's not a social club here. It appears like it is.
So you could be distracted all day and not work.
Of course, and I'm pretty sure that if I told you guys to write down 10 names of people that do that, you could come up with it in about 4 to 5 seconds, okay? We understand that the 80-20 rule represents more than just 80-20. It represents the office, the people, okay? 20% of the people are doing the work, and it's even less than that. But I'm just saying it's very easy to come in here and not do anything. Or you can come in here and actually do the activities. If you do the activities, you're going to get paid much sooner than later. Are there any questions? Or have I answered them all? How was the session?
It was awesome.
Good, really good. Thank you.
All right, and I will upload this masterpiece at KW YouTube. Hopefully it'll get more than 3 likes. All right, so listen, but I'm telling you guys, if you guys seriously, I know we do this every 2 weeks and you guys come in here and the vibe doesn't have to be 0 listings, I rate myself a 2. come in here with a listing. I guarantee you guys, if you came in here next week with, even if you have zero, if you came in here with one listing, all right, the vibe would be so much different that the next time we met 2 weeks later, you would have more than the one listing. Because if we all come in here and collectively have gotten, let's say, 6 listings together, then I'll change the dynamic of the Get Real class. And instead of talking about whatever that topic was, I'll talk about circle prospecting around that listing. And I guarantee that that momentum will turn that one listing into 2 or 3 listings, and we'll come in here with 18. So you see that right now there's 6 of us in here, okay? Right now we leave and everybody says, how was Jay's Get Real class? And you guys are like, it's great. But the reality of it is that I'm not, like, how effective can I be if you guys come back and we all still have 0 listings?
Well, we gotta put the work, Jay.
I get it, but I'm just saying, what is the difference if the next time you came in here, you said, you know what, last week I walked out and I was pissed off. We got a couple of tips. I'm changing my skill set. I'm skilling up. And now I'm walking in with 1. And now collectively as a group, we have 7 new listings. You think it's going to be better, well attended the next 2 weeks? Exactly, because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for an answer key. The answer key is the work. Now they're going to see in their mind, oh, you know what? They went to Jay's class and all of a sudden they have listings. All I need to do is go to his class. Now we know that's not the case, but that's what they hear.
Right.
Okay. So if you guys go and we do this, I'll change the whole thing next week and we'll literally sit here and go through circle prospecting, the one listing. I promise that if you guys get a listing, I will explain to you in 1 hour how to monopolize that listing and get another listing inside of the 2 weeks that we meet again. All right. It's not a difficult thing. We can make fun of this as much as we want. This is not rocket science. You don't need a degree to be a realtor. You may even be able to have a criminal record at this point. We don't even know. Okay. But the bottom line is that I'm a lawyer. I got a lot of degrees. You don't need any of them. Okay. There's going to be plenty of guys that are going to walk in this room that just worked their ass off, barely graduating high school, and they're going to kill it because of the 3 things, So let's just try and get in here with 1 more listing than we had. I guarantee you it'll lift momentum and we'll end the Q1 on a really high note.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Jay.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jack.
Get it. Awesome question.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, listings, bro.
Great class.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Good.
She still doesn't have the survey.
So.
And I even asked her, like, when you closed,
Right.
no. She said they closed for cash. They didn't need it. Because if you close for cash, you don't have to do the title work.
Oh.
So she doesn't have it. It's like, what can I do?
So, like, what do we tell? I mean, I told the buyers and the agent that I'm gonna provide you with,
The survey?
or some
Just
information,
Just tell them that we understand that there's properties that are less money. What I would tell them is I would say, look, we believe this property is worth the premium because of, the fact that it's on 3 sides of water and this, but we really can't tell you about the mitigation and the survey. But what we would invite you to do, if you like this property, walk the property, go compare it to the other property. If you like this property, make an offer contingent on the due diligence period, finding out these things. Because it doesn't matter what anybody else gives them. They're still going to have to do the due diligence on any lots that they buy out there. They say, listen, you know what? We'll agree to this price, but we need 45 days to figure out if this is going to work. So I don't think there's any risk for them to come in if they have the due diligence period, But they might just want to listen. And if they say, oh, no, we're just going to go for the other one for $2, then let them go for that. And then it'll be one less property that we got to worry about.
Yeah.
I mean, that $299, they're losing. They bought it for $3 something.
Right.
I looked at the tax roll.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
and then over and above they're giving 50,000 as.
I know that. I mean, they're just trying to get out of it
Yeah.
now, you know. So but that is such a tough lot. Like, it's such a weird shape. Like, I don't even know what you can build on that. You know. So like, I mean, I think our property is really good, but they're not making it easy. They don't have it.
Yeah, and I don't know, like now they should have like actually dropped the price, at least 399, or I mean, or if they would have.
Even if she doesn't, tell the people make any offer. Let's see. I think if they get an offer, they'll counter aggressively.
Yeah.
Just tell them they make an offer. They want to sell it. They don't have the documentation, but they invite you to do any due diligence you want,
Right.
risk free. That's what I would do.
Should I tell them that they closed, for a flat cash deal, so they don't?
Yeah, just tell them. Say, listen, they would love to provide it. They're not, the bottom line is though when they bought it, they paid cash. They weren't required to get
The survey.
Yeah, it wasn't a requirement because the requirement is dictated by the lender.
Right.
That's what I would do. I don't know.
Perfect. So I went. One more question here. I went
Sure.
to this